Alright, Shalom Israel. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect. There's no turning back, Mr. Trump. Alright? And this guy Donald Trump, he does things and he thinks, people's going to be on his side, or he can just pay him off, or tensions will quell down after a while. But what he doesn't understand is there's no turning back from this. All right, that's like if the Iranian was to kill Donald Trump, or or a top executive in the White House or somebody. It's war. There ain't no talking after that, man. So hey, and this is what we've been praying for, man, for Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai to send Esau essentially into a trap. The Lord sending Esau into a land barren and desolate. That's his trap. The brother Kalabi brought out a beautiful point of how Iran has always been an Achilles heel, and now they are much stronger, especially with what? All right, they have stronger defense system, the S-400s. And they have America's allies, and they have, another Achilles heel, which is who? Russia. All right. So now Trump is sending more troops over to Iraq because he's preparing for Iran to attack. At the killing of their general Qasem Soleimani. And those troops are not coming back, man. You send your kid over there, you might as well just kiss him goodbye. Eventually, they're gonna implement a mandatory draft. You see, this is the year of prophecy, and now you shall know that a prophet is among you. Now we know this specific things that still have to come to pass as far as the RFID chip. All right, but hey, man, this is a beautiful step toward the right direction. Which the right direction is a downfall of this wicked society. All right, so it says Soleimani's funeral shows Trump underestimated how powerful anti-imperialism and nationalism is in Iran. President ignored warning signs and crashed us into crisis, says former White House senior official. And that's all. Hey, Trump's been doing that since day one, man. But you still gonna have people that still support him because they don't know any better. They just looking at the so-called white face in office. It says Iranians burn U.S. and Israeli flags during an anti-U.S. protest over the killing during a U.S. airstrike of Iranian military commander Qasem Soleimani and Iraqi paramilitary chief Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis in the capital Tehran on January 4th, 2020. All right, now it says the assassination of the commander of Iran's Quds Force, Qasem Soleimani, in which this guy Qasem Soleimani, he was also like a he was also he was also like a, I guess, a foreign relations the head of the foreign relations of Iran. I mean, he brought the Muslim countries together, as far as certain issues with them were concerned. All right, so it says the assassination of the commander of Iran's Quds Force, Qasem Soleimani, came as a shock to both Iranians and Americans. Although Soleimani and his force had been designed by the U.S. as a terrorist organization, it was never expected that Washington would kill him this way. But many are still surprised, asking how Donald Trump, a vocal critic of endless Middle East wars, got to this point. Experts have been warning that Mr. Trump was eventually going to stumble into a serious conflict. And while his more seasoned batch of initial advisors were able to stave off a potential conflict, his current circle of close aides seem to be pushing him toward conflict. You know, so all cards, all right, or all cards are stacked, or all odds rather are stacked against this place. You know, because what, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. All right, and when you go into there's like particular accounts where the Lord will put a lying spirit on a particular king to send him to war, just so he can get killed, because the Lord wants to take this place out. And this is what's happening now. You know, as we just read, it says, and while his more seasoned batch of initial advisors were able to stave off a potential conflict, his current circle of close aides seems to be pushing him toward conflict. Okay, let me I want to grab that example. Let me see. You know, because the Lord puts lying spirits on people. If you want to take them out, he will put a lying spirit on them. Let's see. I gotta look up that. Let me see. All right, this is 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 19. And he said, hear thou therefore the word of Yahweh. I saw Yahweh sitting on his throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing by him, on his right hand and on his left. You know, the ones on the right hand represent the righteous, and on the left represent Satan and his angels. And Yahweh said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall? When you look up that word fall, all right, it means fall, lie, be cast down, fail. To fall a violent death. Okay, it says to fall upon, attack. All right, so the Lord set this man up, Ahab, to fall, to be put to death at Ramoth Gilead. And one said of this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before Yahweh, and said, I will persuade him. And Yahweh said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth and do so. Okay, so that word prophets actually, all right, which is the Hebrew word nabayah, all right, spokesman, speaker, prophet, false prophet, heathen prophet. All right, because in the ancient world, the prophets were, so to speak, they were the voice of reason. All right, they were the voice of God to, to that particular king. All right, the king would consult into the prophet to see if it was cool, if the Lord would be with him, going up against another king, and if so or if not. All right, so this is what's happening today. All right, the Most High has put a lying spirit on Trump's so-called spokesman. All right, who he goes to for advice. All right, so it says the adults left the administration, and they were left with no one willing or able to speak truth to Trump. There you go. He drove past the warning signs and crashed us into this crisis, said Brett Bruen, former White House Director of Global Engagement, adding that unlike many of Mr. Trump's other mistakes, a summit or a trade deal is not going to solve this one. Okay? Because when you go into this story, there was one prophet, who was basically that warning sign to Ahab, if you will, Micah, but he basically told him the truth, and he didn't like that, and this is why Trump got rid of a lot of his other, constituents, if you will, because they would tell him the truth, and he just likes to basically have his ego stroke, man. Ego face Trump, we call him. All right, so now he's in a, as Esau likes to call it, he's in a pickle. All right, and hey, your money won't help you, man. You gotta have to deal with that, man. Let's see. This is Proverbs 17. Alright, this is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 17. It says, behold, I will stir up the Medes, which the Medes are Media or Medes of Madai, a middle land. Alright, which today are, it says, located northwest of Persia. Alright, which today would be the Persians or the Iranians, which I have this Bible, which brothers could download this. It's called Bible Maps. It looks just like this. All right, so you just type in Media, all right, or just any like in the Bible, you look up Shur, Havilah, anything, and it's cool too because it'll show you, like, for example, you see, like, these are my recent searches. You see Havilah, then it'll get you the particular precepts that where it mentions Havilah. All right, so I was looking at the Medes or Media, and guess where that's at? That's in Iran. All right. So according to the article we are reading, it says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So you can't pay these Iranians off, man. They want blood. Okay? So it says, Mr. Trump's other mistakes, a summit or a trade deal is not going to solve this one. Mr. Bruen said Mr. Trump assumed that Iranian leaders were similar to the North Koreans and tried again and again to entice them with a splashy show and financial favors. All he did was create even greater animosity and anti-American sentiment, both within Iran and amongst other traditional allies. Tehran knew Washington was in a tough spot and tried to elevate the cost on countries like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, he told The Independent. On the other hand, the response in Iran to Soleimani's killing seems to have caught the Trump administration off guard. Iranians showed up huge numbers for the general's funeral, with massive crowds filling the streets in multiple cities across Iran. Although a controversial figure disliked and despised by many Iranian dissidents for masterminding and leading Iran's regional proxies. I'm going to read that again. Also, although a controversial figure disliked and despised by many Iranian dissidents for masterminding and leading Iran's regional proxies, Soleimani's key role in the fight against ISIS brought him respect across various socio-political groups inside the country. The massive turnout for the funeral of Soleimani reminds us that the theme of anti-imperialism and nationalism is still a very powerful force in Iranian politics. Which Let's see. This is anti-imperialism. In political science and international relations, is a term used in a variety of contexts, usually by nationalist movements who want to succeed from a larger polity, usually in the form of an empire, but also in a multi-ethnic sovereign state, or as a specific. Look for more, says in political science. But shit, let me play this video, get more understanding of what anti-imperialism is.
Anti-imperialism in political science and international relations is a term used in a variety of contexts, usually by nationalist movements who want to secede from a larger polity, usually in the form of an empire, but also in a multi-ethnic sovereign state, or as a specific theory opposed to capitalism in Marxist-Leninist discourse, derived from Vladimir Lenin's work Imperialism, the highest stage of capitalism. A less common usage is by isolationists who oppose an interventionist foreign policy. People who categorize themselves as anti-imperialists often state that they are opposed to colonialism, colonial empire, hegemony, imperialism, and territorial expansion of a country beyond its established borders.
So basically that means that anti-imperialism, meaning that they just choose to be a sovereign state and they don't want any intervention from other so-called empires like America. All right, so it says let's see, who was Slovakia? This is the massive turnout for the funeral of Soleimani reminds us that the theme of anti-imperialism and nationalism is still a very powerful force in Iranian politics, said Nadir Hashemi, Middle East Studies Director at the University of Denver, told The Independent. Mr. Hameshi said, I guess they meant Hashemi, I don't know. It said Soleimani's ugly role in Syria defending Bashar al-Assad via war crimes is not generally known in Iran. What is also not known is his involvement in the bloody repression most recently in Iraq, where at least 500 peaceful protesters have been killed by forces linked to Soleimani. He added any attempt to question Iranian policy in Syria or Iraq has been repressed by the Islamic Republic. Hence the very one-sided view of Soleimani as a war hero among the general public. Many Syrians and Iraqis will beg to differ on these points. Many activists have been warning that the Trump administration's hawkish policy towards Iran contributes to authoritarianism inside the country and undermines prospects for democracy. Iran had seen a massive wave of anti-government protests just recently before the killing of Soleimani. The focus of Middle East politics was on anti-government protests demanding their rights across the region. So that's basically a a standoff between who should have more say so in the land, the Iranians, all right, or America. This is why, and this is what America did during the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis. All right, they basically set up in Turkey, all right, just to get at Russia, man. Just as they're doing to Iran, they're setting up all around just to get to Iran. All right. It says, now the focus of politics is American imperialism. This is a huge ideological gift to the leaders of the Islamic Republic, especially hardliners who don't want to talk about democracy or human rights. Their preferred topic of conversation is American aggression. Trump has just handed them a huge victory and made their job much easier, Mr. Hashemi told The Independent, adding, this is part of a longer tradition of Western foreign policy towards the Middle East that has deep roots and continues until today. Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei weeps at Soleimani's prayers. Here in Washington, Mr. Trump and his close aides have been pushing the narrative that the assassination of Soleimani was a move to prevent war and make Americans safe. But here it is. You trying to make everybody safe, but you're the ones that bringing the terror. You're the ones that's bombing, villages at will. You're the ones that's bringing your democracy. You're the ones who, setting up your, setting up your ways, your laws, man. You're the ones bringing confusion. You're the ones allowing women to have rights. All right. You're the ones, which that's confusion in itself. All right. And hey, this article just basically seems like it's going back and forth to seem, just to show you, it's like an unbiased report. All right, on both sides. Nonetheless, Iran is not going to take that very lightly. And that's the point of this lesson, man. Iran is not going to take that very lightly. The fact that you killed their general, man. And there's, Trump, eagle-faced Trump. He's talking shit as usual. So, hey, man, it's the start of World War III. All right? And, hey, even North Korea is talking about backing Iran and putting a foot in America's ass. This is Joel 3 and verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, be your plowshares in the swords, and your pruning hooks in the spears, let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about, thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Yahweh's Shaphat, Yahweh's judgment. And there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And Trump already said he ain't leaving, Iraq. So it's on and popping, man. It's on and popping. And it's beautiful time. We damn sure can't wait to get the hell out of here, man. Let's see. Proverbs 17 and verse 18. It says, a man void of understanding striketh hands and becometh surety in the presence of his friends. And since Trump has been in office, he's made it hard for all his other allies. He loveth transgression. He loveth transgression that loveth strife. And he that exalteth his gate seeketh destruction. That's why we call him eagle-faced Trump, man. He sets America on high to the fact that they don't have to answer to anybody. Meanwhile, if you go to war, or if somebody goes to war with you for your negligence or your instigation, guess what? According to the pact that these other nations made with America, they have to go to war too. Okay? So it says, he that have a forward heart findeth no good, and he that have a perverse tongue falleth into mischief. Hey, man, so, hey, you really, as I mentioned before, hey, Esau's going into a trap, man. The land, scriptures say, going into a land barren and desolate. Okay, Joel 2 and 20. Behold, I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren, and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he have done great things. So this place is done, man. Stick a fork and he's done. And with that, shalom to the elect.